There she does say Pat. One that, we will have here. And then, but they're all available on Zoom, and there's 4 different opportunities that you'll have. This is just the first one, and we're gonna do it here and have lunch and.
Oh, yeah, I did see the dates.
And all the things, so.
I'll tell her when it's here.
All right, we'll get started in just a second.
We're actually gonna run to the office. I'll be back. I'll come in through the back. I'll come in through the back door.
Okay, so I would love to have you here.
Oh, yeah, I am. I'm coming back. I just had to go grab something in there.
Oh, okay, good.
It's here. I think I've got to leave it.
Yeah, then, okay. All right, welcome. Okay, so I'm glad y'all are here. Oh, is lunch already here? I thought it was coming at 1. Awesome. Okay. I thought it was gonna be 1 o'clock.
Hello, hi. I don't even know what this is talking about, and I'm here. Okay. Emily, these are my.
Okay. Well, let's get started. I was honestly hoping to get a packed drink today, because I'm gonna go over every single thing that I do from step 1 in a system that I developed a long time ago in order to have a really amazing buyer experience. And so we're gonna be taking this kind of to the next level of what many of y'all learned at Ignite, because you were here for Ignite. Oh, so y'all got lunch early. It was supposed to be put out at 1.
Invite us.
Okay, good. Invite. So I was like, oh, let me go to the printer real quick. I'm gonna give you something. Sorry, I printed these out and then I got pulled into a little conference right before we got started, so I didn't get a chance to staple it. But what I'm gonna give you is, and when I say this is mine, you might see specific things on this checklist that I do, and that you can apply, if you want. But it's very specific to the system that I created for a buyer experience, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And it is absolute, I think the most complete, comprehensive checklist that you can, and what I've been talking about. Thank you, thank you. And so what I've done with this checklist is I put it into commands. You know, commands is in every single, you know what, I might show you how to do that. Okay, so what I did was put it into commands. When your buyer goes from phases inside command, you know how you can drag and drop it to the next phase? And did you know that you can actually set up a checklist for each one of those phases to make sure that you don't miss anything? And that you don't miss an opportunity in order to have the perfect system. I mean, that's what it is, it's a system, right? That's what we need, a system and tools. So I've got a lot of examples today. We're gonna go over a bunch of information. I don't have slides for you. I put this together for 5 seconds ago so that you had something to look at on the screen other than me. But I'm really gonna go through this and we're gonna talk through each phase. And there's a lot here, so hopefully we get it all in, crammed in an hour and a half. But I think we should be okay if we can, just kind of work through it, okay? So, hello. Buyer. How are you? So you're my buyer. Now, in this scenario, we're gonna pretend that you were referred to me. Someone called, and said, "Hey, your client, your friend, past client, Sarah, said you were a great realtor, and I should call you, and I'm interested in buying a house." So the first thing you're gonna do is, I mean, literally, is that the lead comes in. The first thing is you get the phone call. The lead is converted to an appointment. Fantastic. I'm so glad that Sarah is so great. I work with her. She's phenomenal. And I'm so glad that she connected us. When are you available? I have an appointment time tomorrow at 3, Saturday at 10, or 2. Which one of those works best? Great. You schedule the consultation. All right, so we just converted a lead. Check, check. This is the checklist that we're going through. All right, so we're gonna add the appointment to the calendar. I mean, this is as basic as it gets. We're literally gonna go step by step through the process. You're gonna add the calendar, you're gonna add the consultation to your calendar, and you're gonna put the email address and invite the person to the calendar request that you're going to have a consultation with. Fair? Next, email the appointment confirmation, which is a canned email to the buyer with the buyer questionnaire and lender information for pre-approval. I'm so happy. At 11:30, I was so nervous, I was like, stop, like, we need to fill this room. I'm sorry, no, you're fine. So, email the appointment confirmation, this is the canned email. I will be handing out, a list of canned emails. This is another system. If you went through Ignite, you might already have this. This is another system to have emails already typed out in advance to save you time. Time is money and you are valuable. So in order to save you time on all of these tasks, have them written out in advance. If you use the KW email through Gmail, you can set up canned email. Very simple to do. I'm not gonna go into how to do a lot today because we only have an hour and a half. I could make this into an 8-hour class if we went step by step on how to do each checkbox. But this is gonna be your starting point to working with buyers and to create that experience. And one of those is to have a very well articulated email already typed out so you sound brilliant every time. And I have these typed out here, and you'll see in each one of these, I need to make copies, so I won't go to you right now, but there are canned emails for each step of the process. So we're gonna say, we're so excited to meet you on Friday at 3 o'clock. Just so you know, the first step of the process is to get pre-approved. So I've gone ahead and attached my absolute best preferred vendor information, lender information below. Give that person a call and start the process so that we know exactly what your budget is when we meet tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Then you're gonna call the preferred lender with the client's contact information, because are they gonna do it? No, they're not. That's why you're the expert and they're not. So you're gonna call the lender and say, hey, I've got this great new referral. It is named Anita Connor, and she's looking to buy a house. She told me she was looking over in this area. We need to figure out her budget. Will you give her a call? Our very best preferred lender says, absolutely. Let me give them a call right now. This is just another step of the process. You are the professional and you're creating the 10+ experience. And then we're gonna start filling out our consultation sheet. I got so much with me, we're just gonna spread out. Now, you can brand this, I like when I'm around, hey, I need to make another copy. You're gonna take this one. I want to brand
You want to use mine? I can do that.
Let me,
I can do something I want.
I might have to go.
Or I can go make copies.
Can you make me, let's make 5 more copies. I'm just loving this, so I can get 4 8. I like to bring everything that a client has with my logo. If you don't have a logo, put KW on there. But this is just a consultation, very simple consultation form that I like to fill out when I meet with somebody. And it's basically my command intake form. The first thing I'm gonna say is, what type of appointment is it? Is it a buyer? Is it a seller? Is it a lease? What kind of appointment do we have? And then over here, I'm gonna put my appointment time, date and time. Now, I do this because I wanna track everything, right? A good business owner is gonna track the leads, the conversion, the lead appointment, contract, and closings. There's something else I'm missing, there's 5. Conversation, appointment, contract, closing. We're done. Okay, either way. So I want to track that. So I'm going to take this and put it into my spreadsheet, and I'm going to put their name in there. I'm going to put them as a buyer lead. I'm going to say, are they pre-approved yet? Yes or no? Who the lender is. The first day of the conversation. The appointment date. Then I'm going to check if the appointment was held. And then I'm gonna have boxes that say, contract, things like that. So I track everything from the first time that I speak to someone to closing. And how many days are in between? I even track termination. So if someone goes through the buyer process and decides to terminate a contract at any time, then I take that and put it as a terminated line. So at the end of the year, I can look through and I can say, out of all my buyers, these are how many contracts terminated that year. They probably bought something else, but I still want to know what the rate of termination. So on this little fancy, not so fancy, consultation form, I have their name for buyer 1, buyer 2, where they work, what their job title is, what their birthday is, their current address, their phone number. So funny. This is how old it is. It says home phone number. My mother's the last person on earth that still has a landline. She canceled it once, and I started screaming and yelling. I was like, I can't. And she called the company and spent 2 days trying to get her phone number back. She had it since 1978, and it's really hard to get it back. But she did. I told her never to do that again. Email address. Are you pre-approved, who your lender is, and how did you hear about us? So this is the consultation form that I fill out. And then when I talk to them after the appointment, I write all the information on the back of it. And then when I'm done with the appointment, this is the sheet that I'm going to use in order to fill out command and the notes process. And fill out the FMLS search. So have one of these.
Is that?
No, I just created it. This is the Word document, and I said, this is important information that I think I should get upfront in order to have a really healthy database. So anybody that I talk to, the moment somebody calls me that I've never met before and says a word about real estate, I pull one of these out. And I start filling it out. So if you want to pass that around, you can take a picture of it. Just in time, what I just made for you. Okay, so we're gonna start to complete the consultation sheet. So now we have just finished the planning for the appointment workflow. And now we're gonna go into the consultation workflow. And the first checkbox there is check if contact is in command. If not, add the contact. Ensure you use the legal name. You can put now, it is a new option on there where you can put their name. Did everybody get one? There is an option now where you can put their nickname, but before I was going to put their legal name. because that is the name that we're going to connect to DocuSign, and it's gonna automatically fill in that information on the contract. So I always said, make sure you use the legal name. The next step we're gonna do is create an opportunity in command. Now, under the Documents tab, I mean, literally, we're gonna go step by step. Under the Documents tab, under the Opportunity, click Start a Transaction in DocuSign. Add the following documents: buyer brokerage, purchase and sale, conventional loan exhibit, disclosure for marketing services. If they said they're not quite ready to buy right now, start them on a smart plan. Another way to show my age of Keller Williams, it says 8x8. That is an old smart plan that we used to use before Command started. But they have converted many smart plans into an 8x8. You do not need to recreate the wheel. There are many in there already, and you can look through them and find the one that you like the best, and assign it to your contact. Make sure you edit it with all of your information. Make sure it's your name, your preferred lender, your contact information, all of that. Edit the smart plan and then assign it to the contact. It will say something like, next step, 2 days, email. Are you pre-approved? This is why I love my lender. Here is his contact information. It will say, wait 3 days, send a text. Can't wait to work with you. Have you thought about your 5 must-haves? Then it will wait a certain number of days and then it'll send another message. So if they're not ready to buy, set them up on the 8x8 campaign. Scan and save the buyer information sheet that I just passed around. You can scan those sheets and save it to the client contact in notes under their contact information. Did you know that? So if you have handwritten notes and you don't want to reinvent the wheel and type them all out, you don't have to. You can scan it and just slide it right into the notes section under command. Then we're gonna, when we're on the phone, most likely they said, hey, I'm kind of looking, you're gonna say, oh, can you some contact information? Or tell me a little bit about yourself. And they really, sometimes they skip the tell me about yourself part and go straight to what they're looking for. And then you can start a search in FMLS under state search. And it's not gonna send them any information, you're just gonna get a good idea. Oh, they want a townhouse in Druid Hill. So you can start a state search and just look at what inventory is available before the consultation. That way you know what you're talking about. Assemble the buyer consultation packet. So I brought, it's not free, a buyer consultation packet. Just kidding, I did bring it. It's right here. So this is what I would consider a very well-built client consultation packet. So when we sit down, so we're gonna assemble that today. The first thing we're gonna do is include a client packet, an information booklet. Now you can get these from different places. You can get them from Brian Briggs at Diane Endeavors has a great one. You can look on Command. Command has a great packet. And I have 4 more. Okay, I'm glad you're here. I'm just happy. Because when I showed up at 11:30, I'm like, I'm literally gonna give you everything. All you have to do is just let me in here. So I'm just so, Yeah, you just warmed my heart. It doesn't matter if you're late or early. So this is, I'm gonna pass this around. This is the consultation packet that I put together, and it includes a lot of information that I think is important for buyers to know. Because I think the biggest worry with a buyer is they're about to make the biggest financial decision of their life, and they don't know what comes next. They don't know what expenses are involved. They don't know what an inspection involves. Who is an appraiser and what is it? When can I cancel this contract and run for the hills and when can I not? These are all questions they may have. And so as I've gone through hundreds of buyers consultations, I found what the most common questions are and included them in this packet. Does it need to be this comprehensive? Probably not. You can talk your way through a lot of this, but in order for it to be, I think, beneficial for everyone, I want to walk them through the process of saying, hello, my name is Carrie. Two, this is what to expect on closing day. Who is going to be there? What are you going to sign? What should I remember that day? And then I always end with, and this is what nice people have said about me. I also include a sheet of typical expenses. Is your earnest money refundable? Or how much is it? Or is it part of your closing costs? How much are closing costs? What are closing costs? How much does an inspection cost? What kind of inspections can you have? What if I want to buy a house in an HOA community? Do I have to pay for the appraisal? Yes, 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 yes. So I thought that was really beneficial. Another thing that I added in here, and you can take pictures of this. You can take pictures of this and create something similar. I bought this off of Etsy and then I added about 6 or 7 pages of things that I thought were important, like the buyer process, the loan process. Now, this is a high level overview. You are not a lender, so don't pretend to be. Direct any lender questions to your amazing preferred lender onward and let them explain everything. But what I typically say on this page is you're going to go through a lot of obstacle courses. It's really fun to look at houses, and there's going to be a couple of stressful moments during this transaction that we're going to try to prepare you for. One of them is going to be the inspection. You're going to think the house is falling apart. I promise you it's not. You've hired someone to represent you to do an inspection and find all the problems that's wrong with it. I want you to know that every single thing is fixable. It's just, how does it need to be fixed and who's gonna pay for it? And we'll work through that, don't worry. The next part, difficult situation that may happen is your lending process. It's not that fun. And a lot of times the underwriter's gonna ask you for something you swear you already gave them. Just give it to them again. It's okay. Just take that same email and forward it. Not a big deal. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna ask you for everything, including a promissory note to your firstborn child. Once you've given them that information, they're gonna take it to a man behind a curtain, a lot like Oz. You don't talk to them, you don't get to see them, you don't know who that person is, but they're the ones that determine if you can buy the house or not. Now, once he determines, he looks at all your paperwork, he's gonna come back and he's gonna say, thank you so much. Thank you. Now that you've done that, I'm gonna need some backup documentation. Give him whatever he needs. If you made any large deposits, make sure it came from somewhere legit. You'll be fine. Then you're gonna get conditional approval. But before that happens, we have to have an appraisal done. And I have a page that explains appraisals. Who, what, when, where, and why. So there's the loan process, there's the appraisal, how to make an offer, things to consider when making an offer. What are contingencies? What are they? And I also down here, excuse me, this is about making an offer. Sorry, this page looks a lot like my listing packet where it says contingency. This is about making an offer. So I always say, yes, no, or maybe so. Those are your three options. You submit your offer, and what can the seller say? Yes, no, or maybe so. If he says maybe so, you keep going back and forth until there's a yes. But in these days, usually it's just a yes or a no. But if we do get to the repeat, I love negotiation. That's my job, I love it. Bring it back. Here it is. Here's the deadline. So I put what are deadlines in the contract? Due diligence, financing, appraisal. And then I put the title exam in here too, because I think we forget that portion of the experience a lot. There's not any earnings money tied to it, there's not a contingency to it, but it does need to be clear before closing, right? If it's not, you can get delayed. Ask Rachel. You heard me screaming up and down the hall yesterday. The city of Detroit would not give the clear to close on one of our deals for 2 months. Until yesterday. So I told everybody to go home, pop champagne. But title does need to be clear. We can't close without it. So I'll pass this around. So I would have some sort of informational packet for your buyer, walking them through the process. Now, what else could you include? I really like this thing, this little flyer.
Still prefer to give physical copy of the document
Yeah.
or digital PDF version?
I like a physical copy. Yeah. I like them to take it home and read it. And I'm giving them my value. I'm showing them all the things that I'm gonna do and help them through during this process. I'm not a digital person. If you showed me a consultation on an iPad, you're gonna lose me. So I prefer to have something printed for them. I mean, there may be some young kids out there that are okay with this, but I'm halfway old school, halfway new school, so I put it in a packet. And I'll tell you, I get these little covers, these clear covers on Amazon. I order them. They're called thermal binding covers. We have a machine in the computer room that if you turn it on, it will heat the edge of you put all the papers in there, you stick it in, it beats down to 0 and then makes an annoying sound. You take it out and you let it cool and you have yourself a nice book like.
They want with the seller side, and they can do this for the seller, so it's really here.
Yeah.
It's like $20.
Right, I make them all myself.
That's
If they're not ready to buy, do you still have a consultation in person or do you wait for once they're more ready?
I like to go ahead and establish the relationship. So the answer is yes.
Would you have another one once they're ready?
No, typically I wouldn't have another one. I might have a sit down coffee with them to talk about what the rates are doing at that time, and what the market's doing at that time and where they're looking. But no, I like to get them in person, in front of me as quick as possible. Be the lead.
Hey, so I have a buyer consultation package that I basically run. And I think it has good information, but my graphics, I'm really weak in presentation and technology. My graphics are not anywhere near what yours are. Did you say you bought that off of Etsy?
I did, I use Canva, and I'm teaching a Canva class at the end of the month. So I'm gonna teach you how I put this together at the end of the
Is
month.
that an all-day class?
It's not an all-day class, they won't let me teach all day.
We need an all-day class on that. We need it's all it needs to be longer than you.
So this is like, so I found on Etsy, and Brian Riggs has a great, like Diane Endeavors has a great packet that you can customize also. I like the look of his. You need to have something that's a fit and feel of your brand, right? This is the fit and feel of the Foster Home Team. I use the same fonts, I use the same colors, I use the same kind of look throughout. And in Canva, you can create your own brand. So all of the colors in here are ones that are within my brand book. But I do like Etsy a lot. If you go and search Etsy for Canva buyer's consultation, you will have many options to choose from. You can also go into Canva if you have the pro account, and they have lots of options available. Or you can try to design one on your own, but I'm gonna tell you that's a big waste of time. You need to have something to start with. A lot of these pages in here, like the one you're looking at right now, I didn't change one word. That came like that. And it said what you should consider when making an offer.
And this was an Etsy.
That was an Etsy.
So they don't only give you the design, they give you the content.
They give you all the content.
Really?
Yeah, I just changed things to some pages
But
just
you
to
have
make
to customize,
it
right?
sound like me, but,
But you have to customize, like,
Yeah,
the lender, like.
yeah, on the lender page where it says you need to. So like so Etsy came up with this all right here. And I just changed the look of this page because I think it's important for buyers to know what PTI is, what PIPI is. Because, you know, a lot of questions are, what is my payment says it's $780, why does the lender say it's, you know, $2,000? Well, you have interest, taxes, and insurance that's added on top of it. And that's what makes up a monthly payment. So I put this square in there. That's probably why it isn't as pretty as this, but I thought it was helpful information. Research lenders and get pre-approved. I didn't write one piece of information on this page. The only thing I did was put in my favorite lenders at the bottom. I just changed the names that they had in. They had like Mrs. Lender and Mr. Lender, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all of this content, I did create this page. Because I want people to know, I'm giving them instructions here. I'm gonna set up a page on one home, and this is what it's gonna look like, and this is how you heart things, and this is how I'm gonna pick what homes that I'm gonna show you. It's gonna give me a guide, and by guide, I mean exactly what I'm gonna show you. Right? So there's a lot of content in there, and then I just added in more sheets that I think is helpful.
Do you know what day your class is?
No, I don't, not off the top of my head. Jessica puts me down.
Did you ask her just like?
It's on the-
block off?
Yeah, it's on the training
Oh,
calendar. Yeah, it is on the training calendar. I think I'm teaching twice, I'm teaching twice a month for the next time. I think next month I'll do it. Things not to do. I love this. I actually had one that I created and I'm a huge fan of R&D, rip off and duplicate. And that's why I'm giving you everything today, because I want you to R&D it. If don't waste your time, I'm here to give you all the resources. Just take pictures and copy it. Be helpful to your client. I used to have a flyer that was branded to me that had some of the same information. Onward has this one, so now I just put it in there. Things I say, please don't use your credit cards excessively because your debt to income ratios can't change. Don't transfer large sums of money. You can, but you just have to document where it came from. So if you have a side gig that might not be legit, keep it side, right? I'm pretty humor, right? Like people, you laugh, they laugh, it's part of the experience. Yeah. This has happened. I will tell them, this has happened. I had a client who was like, I have my down payment, it's $80,000 underneath my mattress. Legit, I'm not kidding. He was a 1099. He kept all of his money in cash. He did not trust banks. We had to go through the process of depositing that money. He had to pay taxes on it. He had to pay taxes on it. And then once he got his tax return back, he could then buy a home. But until then, man was not legit. The government could not find him. And then his whole life changed. Don't make any big purchases. Usually I say something like a motorboat or a Ferrari, like leave those things for after closing. I've done it. I left the closing table and immediately went to the dealership. I had my deposit down on the car. I wanted it, but there was no way that I could buy that car and the new house I wanted. So or I think I was refinancing at that point. Doesn't matter. But don't buy the expensive nice car until after your loan process. Don't change jobs. Changing jobs can happen. If you find the job of your dream, take it. Make sure you get paid in 2 weeks, okay? Because we're gonna need one of those pay stubs. Don't do any credit checks. We want to keep your credit score as pristine as possible. Don't co-sign on any loans. Many people forget that they co-signed on a house with their dad 15 years ago. It's still in your name, but. And then large deposits. Don't make large deposits. If we have a side gig, keep it on the side. And don't miss anything. So talk about that. Again, steps to a mortgage loan process from a lender. You're gonna need an inspection. I really like this company. Here are all the warranties that it comes with. I think home warranties are very important. Typically, we try to ask the seller to pay for that, but if the seller won't, I still want you to know it's an option for yourself. Here's a packet of all the options and what is covered under a home warranty. Working with me is an exclusive relationship. We don't cheat on each other. Now, if you do decide that you do want to go out and date someone else, that's fine. I may cry. We can tear this up. But before we engage in anything, we're gonna need to get married. And to do that, I'm gonna need you to sign a buyer's brokerage agreement. And that means that I'll be able to represent you and write a contract and negotiate on your behalf. Now, the discussion has changed recently, and from 1 to 5 today in this room, you're gonna learn how to articulate your value. And the conversation has changed. I love Georgia, for the reason that we have always disclosed everything up front. So the trouble that people are getting into in other states is that buyers and sellers are saying, I didn't know that I was paying a buyer's agent, or I didn't know that, me paying was an option. I was just told this is how it works. Well, that's not how we have ever operated in Georgia. I remember that before all of these lawsuits, that we still saw listings every so often that said 0% commission or 1% commission. A lot of times you'll see a note under the agent, the private remarks that say, if I show your client first, the buyer's commission compensation is 1%. Now, the reason that that came about, and I remember when we started doing that, is because Zillow leads were the hottest lead, right? Everybody thought Zillow was the greatest thing. They are not. Record me saying it. Okay. And so people would call and they would get information on a house. We would go show them the house. They would say, I want to write an offer, but we're only representing the seller, right? Not the customer. And so they would get through the process and feel like they were lost and not represented. Well, you're not. So they would go and get an agent. But at that time, you would negotiate a contract based on that you don't have an agent. So if they were, we called it ballooning. If they were ballooning in with an agent, then that agent would get paid 1% compensation, not 3%. And because the listings showed the compensation as 3%, we had to then put a special stipulation that said, if we show your buyer first, it's 1%. Now, these things happened before this conversation with lawsuits. So now my conversation with buyers more looks like, or I should say, what I advise Rachel to say, or y'all to say, is that sometimes the seller chooses not to pay a buyer's brokerage. Now that's how I get paid. I love you, but I don't work on a volunteer basis. So if you choose to buy a home that is not, offering a buyer's commission, that may be something that you need to consider. Now, there are ways that we can try to request the seller to pay, either upfront, just asking the question, you don't ask for, or we can try with some closing costs. But if they say no, and you really love this house, I want you to know that my compensation is 3% of the purchase price. And we have that conversation. It's up to you if you wanna buy a house that doesn't offer it, or does. I'm not gonna steer you in any direction. But if it doesn't, I just want you to know that in this document, it's gonna say, you're gonna pay me, that I'm gonna get paid 3%, and you're responsible for anything less than what the seller is paying. Fair? Fair. I always include a purchase and sale agreement, because it's very important, and I think that this is, again, showing your value and your experience for that client. They don't know what they don't know, and when you get to a place of negotiating, it goes really fast. And DocuSign is really great in some ways, and it's really terrible in others, because it's great because you can just click through and sign, submit. But it doesn't slow down and let you read what you're signing unless you scroll back up. And so that you know exactly what you're signing in advance, I'm gonna give you a copy of the purchase and sale agreement up front. And I've highlighted what I negotiate, okay? We use Georgia Association, I'm going through all my scripts today. Let's just hit one. I use Georgia Association of Realtors contract forms. I'm not a lawyer, they're a genius, so they wrote up this brilliant contract that we use. And all the highlighted points are where my magic happens. So here are all the items that we negotiate, and then again, on second to last page, that's where we're gonna put in some special stipulations. Again, this is where I show my magic. Some of the things that we may ask for is a home warranty. If we don't have a seller's disclosure, or even if we do, I probably will put something in there that says all appliances, including the refrigerator, washer, and dryer, will remain with the property at no additional cost to the buyer. Now, if we're in a multiple offer situation, you're probably gonna not see these there, because I want a very clean offer. And then I sometimes write in, depending on how many days I'm on the market. I negotiate having the HVAC, service and cleaning prior to closing. Some special stipulations, but know that this is just our first opportunity to negotiate. We have another opportunity to negotiate during the due diligence period, but this is our initial negotiation offer. So I'll include that. This can sometimes be a sticky situation as well. There are some requirements in the loan contingency exhibit that we need to make sure we're all aware of. So before you go to signing, I want you to be aware of this. This stipulates the number of days that's in our financing contingency and our appraisal contingency, and who gets notice when. Make sure you read over that, let me know if you have any questions. Also included is gonna be our ABAD, our affiliated business arrangement disclosure. Now, a disclosure means that I'm telling you about it. These vendors may or may not have anything to do with our transactions, but I am required by my brokerage to make sure that you are aware of them, that they do business with us, and they do have a charge. Now, I highly recommend you use a couple of these vendors. So when you're talking to them, and if you do want to, get, comparative quotes, make sure that you're looking apples to apples. And then again, I always say, this does not mean you're required to use any of these vendors, but they do business with us, and I have to tell you about them. And by signing this, you're saying that I did that. Questions? Comments? Concerns? Compliments? So that's everything that I put into a packet. So we are now in the consultation workflow. We have assembled our buyer consultation packet. Buying a new, and then I listed out everything here that I put in that packet for you. Everything, oh, and then it says prepare a gift mug and thank you card. Now, if you don't have mugs, by all means, don't go out and buy them if you have a big budget for marketing. But what I like to include is a mug in a bag with some tissue paper and a note card. And because we all know me, most of you know me, I write out everything in advance because it's a system and I like to hit the easy button. I do not like to do things more than once that hurt my head. So all of my thank you cards are already typed out in advance. So I might say something like, thank you for taking the time out of your day to prepare for your home buying adventure. You're talking with me about your wish list for a new home. I'm excited to get started. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to serving you over the next few months. Remember, I am always here for you. All my best. Sounds good, right? I don't have to ever think of it again. Just look at it and copy and paste it and write it. And I write it in a little note card. And then I leave it, sometimes in their mailbox, sometimes I drop it in the mail back on my way home, but I want it to get to their mailbox. I don't leave it with them unless I have a mug. Then I do. But if I don't have a mug, put it in the mailbox, it's another touch. It's a feel good. It's creating that stickiness that they're already in love with. Okay. All right. Now we actually get to have consultation. So do all the things that I just told you, say all the things, present the buyer's consultation, explain the 10+ experience. Explain, now here is a checkbox that says explain about the closing coordinator and the client care coordinator role. If you don't have those, then you obviously are not going to explain them. If you have more than 5 or 6 transactions a year, I highly recommend you reach out to one of our contract to close companies. I use Hello Leverage, but we have a fantastic company now called Legacy Leverage. They do all the same things. They take your contract and they process what we're gonna go through, half this checklist, they're gonna take off your hands. And by doing that, you're just creating a better experience for everyone and taking that load off of you so that you can go out and find more buyers and sellers. So I explained to them that I have Marie, she's my closing coordinator. I love her dearly. She's gonna make sure that we have all of our T's crossed and all of our I's dotted, and that she's gonna help us schedule things throughout the transaction and make sure everybody's where they need to be when they need to be there. Get the buyer brokerage engagement agreement signed. We're gonna get married. We're not gonna date. We're not gonna cheat on each other. We're gonna sign a contract. Do y'all want to hear the script that I used to say for multiple offers? It's so funny. Yes. Okay, I loathe reality TV. It is not my thing. I do not like it. I am not a reality TV watcher, but they have this thing called The Bachelor, or The Bachelorette, right? And I used to explain, I hope I can get this right. I used to explain it as in, when we go and look at home, you're gonna date them, right? Everybody's gonna date the same person, right? It's which one gets the rose. So when you go, remember that you are not in an exclusive relationship. So you're gonna go and you're gonna look at this house and you're gonna think, oh my God, it's so pretty, I have to have it, we have to get married tomorrow. No, you are not falling in love with anything. You're gonna say, I like you a lot and I'm willing to take you on a second date. And then if you get on the second date and you go through the inspection and it turns out okay, because we're in a multiple offer situation and most likely they're not gonna fix anything about themselves, right? Like what you get is what you get, attitude and all. And then if you get through that, I'll finally let you fall in love. And if you can get through the financing and appraisal contingency, then you can have your red rose and get married. But until then, there will be no love. There will be strong lights. You will not get the ring. You will not fall in love and you will not get married when you first see this house. That's coming. Because when you're going up and you're putting 5 offers in on homes before they win one and they finally get their rose. So that's the way to ease the pain of going through that experience. It helps people, not feel so heartbroken every time, like that was not the one. When they get the email, I'm sorry, your offer was not the winning bid, they weren't worth it. The house is not yours. There's something wrong with it, it was bad karma, be glad you ended it now before it got bad. Okay. Now, we've had the consultation. One of the things during the consultation that I forgot to mention is you're gonna need to do a needs analysis. The needs analysis is gonna ask the buyer. I brought so much stuff, I should have said that. Needs analysis, gonna ask a lot of questions. And this is another way that we are going to establish that relationship and show our value by asking very intricate and specific questions about their needs. And I'll pass this around too, and I'd be happy to share it with you. Because we need to know what's the best way to get in touch with someone. If you're working with someone older, they're probably gonna want you to call and have a conversation. If you're working with someone younger, they're most likely gonna wanna text. There are times and places to text. It's not every time. If you're having a very complicated question, do not text the answer. You pick up the phone and you ask questions and you walk them through it. Text message is not for every situation. That is when text messages can be interpreted in so many different ways. And that you can lose somebody very fast by them interpreting your words, not how you meant them, how you intended. And if you have a very D personality, who is an executive, has no time to talk or text, send them an email unless it's they may want email rather than call or text during the day, unless it's an urgent deadline. So anyway, I asked, long story short, I asked, what's the best time to reach you? Have you ever, now this needs analysis goes through qualifying questions. Have you ever bought or sold a home before? How thorough do I need to explain each part of the process? Did you work with a realtor? Very important to know. Tell me how you felt about that experience. Was it positive, negative, or indifferent? I want to know what their experience was, and if they said they didn't have a good experience, I want to know everything about it so I do not repeat. Even if it's normal, even if they were really mad at something that typically would happen anyway, they just didn't know. So I'm gonna make sure that I avoid that or over-explain that situation when it comes up. What is your idea of a great realtor? People may be looking for different things. Somebody may want you to negotiate. Someone just may want you to communicate the process. Some want you to find the house. How often do we hear someone say, oh, I found the house, and the realtor just, they didn't do anything. I found that house on the internet. She just showed it to me and I bought it. Whoa, they did the fun part. We did everything. So I want to say up front, what's your great idea of a realtor? Do you want me to find the house? Because I'm gonna take, if that's the case, then I'm gonna go on FMLS and I'm gonna look through their favorites and I'll pull a couple out and I'm gonna send it to them and tell them I found those. You're creating the experience, right? They know what they want. So we're just creating if you want to go out and find other houses in a neighborhood, say they do only want one specific neighborhood, then you're gonna farm that neighborhood, and you're gonna find that house. I've done it many times. It's very easy. Mail out mailers that says, I have a buyer, are you willing to sell? And you will get people who call you every single time. And so I have done that many, many times for clients. However, if they want Alpharetta at 700, I'm gonna pull some houses that they probably already have in their favorites and say, look at these great houses, it has these 5 things that you said you wanted. You just found the house. Is there anyone else that's involved in this transaction? I want to know so that I can be prepared to deliver a great experience for the best friend, the brother, the dad, the mom, the other decision makers that you didn't know were part of the process. You know, there's many times where someone's like, my best friend's coming to house shop with us. I'm like, great, tell me all about her. What's her name? Just tell me everything about her. So that I can cater to that person too. Because if they're gonna be part of the decision-making process, I want them to have a good experience. And they give referrals. Are you renting? And if so, when is your lease up? How soon do you want to get settled into your new home? This is a motivation question. Are you motivated to get it now? Or are you the person that's gonna wait a year or maybe never and you're just look at homes? Okay, how have you been looking for homes? Open houses, internet, realtor, those sorts of things? This tells me, you know, have they cheated? Are they cheating? Have they worked with another realtor in the past and just didn't navigate and didn't buy a home and now they've gotten to me? Or have they looked at open houses? Have they started to feel out what is available in their price range? How long are you planning to stay in this home? That's an important question, I think. If you're only looking to stay in a home for 2 years, I might say, and they want to make a ton of equity, I might say a condo is not your best bet. But if they're looking to stay in a home for a long time, then let's look for something that maybe, you know, you can grow your life in, whatever that may look like. I asked them where their work is located, what's the commute that they're comfortable with. And then we get down to the bedrooms, the bathrooms, condo, townhouse, single family. And this is my favorite one, and I heard this from someone else, so it's another rip off and duplicate. And this is again, just establishing the relationship that you have, because you're gonna put them into a place. You're gonna say 90 days from now, we're sitting in your living room. Tell me about that. And they're gonna describe, and you're gonna have to coax them along. They're like, well, we're on a sofa. Well, what do the floors look like? Does it have a fireplace? What does the view look like? Can you see the kitchen or no? You know, or what is happening around us? And we do that, and we walk through several questions. We're like, okay, what's your style? Do you like modern? Do you like traditional? Do you like retro? Do you like transitional? Do you like builder grade? I don't know. So I love that, and it really just cements that we're here together in this internet experience. And you're taking that with you and you're writing notes down and you're establishing that you're taking their needs seriously. And then you're gonna mention this again when you go to look for a home and you, in the living room, you're like, oh, isn't that a beautiful kitchen that you can see from this wonderful living room with hardwood floors and all the things. And you're not gonna say, oh, this is what you told me. You're gonna say, can you see it? How do you feel about it?
I always have a problem when I ask too many questions and they give me real specific answers and then knowing, you know, I ain't that stuff out there at their price range.
And that's okay. What you're just doing is you're writing it down and saying that you're listening. So they're gonna self-discover at some point what is available in their price range and what is not. And so we may have a conversation of, okay, that, you know, most of the time I'm gonna say, how important is that? Are you okay with carpet in the bedroom? Are you okay if it has the view, doing some updates to the kitchen? If not, then we're gonna probably move to another area. How important is the area to you? Because I can probably find you this home, it just might not be in Johns Creek. Have you ever heard that saying, just drive until you qualify? We're probably gonna take a little bit farther to drive until we find the home in your budget that you're looking for. I mean, I've had people that, you know, people not from Atlanta recently, and we went through an entire consultation. I'm like, okay, great, what's your budget? 200,000. And they want vault ceilings, 5 bedrooms, and like all the things. They're like, how do you feel about Americus, Georgia? Like, how rural are we talking? There's this great home in Tennessee that can really fit. So, you know, it's one of those things that I usually say, okay, if this doesn't fit your budget here, there may be the next best up and coming town. What are people looking for? Amenities. You know, I always like to ask how many, you know, where do you want that primary bedroom? You know, if people say I want a master on the main, my next question is a ranch, okay?
Same thing, right?
And then, square footage, I say square footage, but I also give a very large, big caveat that you can tell me you want 2,400 square feet, but I promise you, there's a home that fits all of your needs and gives you the feel for 2,200 square feet. So I'm not gonna be specific on our search with square footage. We're gonna have to find that out when we go in. Because then I don't want to eliminate the perfect home because it was 5 square feet less than your minimum criteria. Then we're gonna talk about your 5 must-haves, and then we're gonna talk about the 5 things you do not want in your next home. And I think that's important. What about your living situation now isn't working for you? And go through the 5 things you don't want to have. And then we'll talk about condition. Are you handy? Are you not? Do you have money for upgrades? Do you not? And very nice place. Do you have special needs or requirements, like a home office, a particular school district, a church, neighborhood, medical care, special education option, handicap accessibility, special rooms? Do you want a tub, a fenced yard, space for a baby, or a grand piano? I actually asked that question. Because it is important. Like, these are questions I'm asking to jog their memory, but a lot of times they do have that special thing that they need in their house and the space for it. And they might not remember that they have a spouse that also needs to work from home. Or special requirements like a piano or a pool table or something. So these are just triggering questions to jog their memory. And you always know that I like to be funny. I like to end everything with a funny note so that it creates big feelings. And then price range. We talk about the price range, but if they haven't been pre-qualified, we talk about ideals here, but the next step is to go and send them to your lender or make sure they talk to the lender. And I talk about how it's not about the price range of the home, it's about the payment that you're comfortable with. And I'm never gonna be one that stretches your budget unless you give me permission. Because you can make buyers really upset if they get their max budget's 500 and you send them a home at 550. They're gonna think you have commission bread, and you don't. You want the best for them, but they don't understand that. So you have to ask them, what payment are you comfortable with in today's market with today's interest rates? And if you're not finding something in their budget, then you have a conversation of why. And you ask permission first to go outside of their budget. And then I ask them questions like, if your spouse or your best friend were to describe you in the following choices, which one would you choose? I'm a big believer in the DISC profile. Does everybody know what DISC is? DISC. So DISC is a profile, is a personality assessment that, and we want to mirror and match, right? If someone is a D, that means that they're direct, they're to the point. I'm going to communicate with them in bullet points. I'm not going to write out big run-on sentences and paragraphs that they have to read. I'm going to say, here are the next steps, ... If someone is an I, that means they love to talk, they love to be the life of the party. They're the ones that are the extroverts. They're the ones that are the loudest in the room all the time. And they love to be heard. So I'm gonna have lots of fun conversations with a high I. An S is gonna be someone who's steady, who likes to be, in control, who likes to feel good and affirmed with their choices. So I might say, I might ask them a lot of qualifying questions and let them or self-discover. And then a C is gonna need a spreadsheet. They are someone who is very articulate. A lot of times they're in the finance world. They want to know all the numbers before they make a decision. You're gonna call the lender and you're gonna get a fee sheet in advance and make sure that they know exactly what they're doing before they do it. So I ask them questions. Are you direct and to the point? Are you talkative in the life of the party? Are you warm and sincere? Or are you cautious and perfectly accurate? And by knowing that, I know how to mirror and match and best serve them. Okay. Any questions about the needs analysis and why it's important and why it creates a 10+ experience?
Who will be getting copies?
Only if you ask really nicely. Okay, let's see where we are. In our checklist. Okay, I knew this was a lot to put into an hour and a half, so forgive me if I start talking real fast. Okay, so we just went through the needs analysis. I think that was really important. Okay, after the buyer's consultation, you're gonna set up their search in the matrix. You're gonna start them on the auto emails every day. And then you're gonna immediately schedule a follow-up appointment. When are you available? I show homes on Saturday at 10 and 2, and on Sunday at 2, and during the week by appointment only. When are you available? Set the next appointment. Always set the next appointment. Make sure that you, did the lender introduction and that they've spoken. And if they're not ready to buy, that's when we're gonna, kick off a SMART plan to keep you top of mind and keep that relationship going. All right, now we're ready for the showing. We're gonna sift through their favorites because we've given them instructions on how to go into the one home. We sent them to their portal, and now they've favorited all of their homes that look pretty and nice. We're gonna sift through them and find the top 6 or 8. Usually I do 6 to 8, because these 2 or 3 of them are gonna drop off. They're gonna be under contract or not available, or something's gonna happen. So if I show homes at 10 a.m., that means I can probably get in 6 before my lunch break and my 2 o'clock appointment. And if you show more than 6 homes, they get jumbled up in their head and they start getting very indecisive. And so I feel like the cutoff is 6 to 7 homes when you're showing. I promise you, if you show them more than 10 homes, you are creating a nightmare for yourself. They will not make a decision. And that buying process will last twice as long as if you narrowed it down to 6 or less. You're gonna follow the instructions and read all of the agent private remarks, and you're gonna schedule the showings through showing time. And then through showing time, you're gonna send them, there's an option at the top right of the screen when you're doing a showing cart. Does everybody know how to do a showing cart? If not, that's a different class, we'll teach you how to do it. At the top right of the screen, you're gonna have an email button, a print and an email. You're gonna do both of them for yourself. You're gonna email that itinerary to your client. It shows up really nicely in their text message and emails. And so they'll get a notification, and I've seen it where my client, I saw where, the client had the pictures of the home, it had the order of how we're gonna see them in our time, slots. And they know when we're showing and we're like, oh, our next appointment's at 1, we gotta wrap it up here. They're gonna stop talking and stop procrastinating in the home, because they know we have an appointment. It's really nice. And I even put down here notes, my coordinator is so great. I say that I did this, but my coordinator took my entire checklist and made this for his own. It's print the FMLS buyer full and the agent full listing sheet. And on the agent sheet, you're gonna write, in order of your showing appointment and the time of the appointment and a checkbox once it's been confirmed. Because that's the way I like to do it. So I'm gonna show up with two clipboards. I'm gonna have one that has my showing sheets on here with all the extras. And then I'm gonna give one to my clients. I'm gonna give them a clipboard. Typically, I have stickers on here that have my logo and everything, brand, everything. And then at the top of my sheet, it looks, I don't have a pen, but it says 1, 2 to 2:30. And there's a check mark once it's been confirmed. That way, when I'm going through my sheet, I know exactly what's happening next and if I'm okay to go. You're also gonna print off the showing time sheet, and that's usually the first one I put on here, because I just wanna double check that I'm all, that what I wrote was real. And then it's good. Okay. Have the buyer rank the homes. 1 out of 10, what did you think about this one? Pre-pandemic, I would always have them in my car, because I wanted to have the discussion between houses, we're gonna talk about that house. Remember that in every home these days, you are being watched. Cameras are everywhere. So remember when you're talking about the home, not to give away everything. So have them rank them 1 to 10. If it's an 8 or a 9, we're gonna encourage them to write an offer. You can send comps in an email with a subject line, request a fee sheet from the lender. Any lender can give you a fee sheet, and that's gonna include all of the fees and closing costs and how much cash they need to close and what their estimated payment is before you send an offer. So I request that from the lender, I write the offer in DocuSign, and then I send explain it to the buyer, remind them that I need the earnest money check, and then I send a canned email to the client with the details of the offer. And I think this is super, super helpful for anyone. It looks like this. It says, congratulations, you're writing an offer, and here are the details. It shows them the high level, details, purchase price, contingency date, all of the things, financing, appraisal, closing date. And then it explains what they are. It says, you have a loan exhibit, here's what it is, how many days, why you need it, community association disclosure, if there's a lead-based paint, if they have a sale of the buyer's property contingency, what the seller's disclosure is, and what it explains. I put that all into a canned email to them. And then I send them the offer through DocuSign. All right, y'all, we got 10 minutes. Buckle up, buttercup. We are now under contract, and we're gonna send an executed copy of the contract with DocuSign. We're gonna submit the contract to the lender. We're gonna send a client introduction and remind them of the important dates. We're gonna send them an intro email to the lender requesting the loan commitment letter from the lender. We're gonna send an intro email to the attorney and request the seller info sheet and send a termite letter if applicable. We're gonna send the FMLS 117 form. Now, everyone in the office is now required to do their own 117 because you are responsible adults who have a fantastic career and can do paperwork. This notice to FMLS saying that you now have a contract on this property. You're gonna scan a copy of the earnest money and you're gonna put it into one of these little pretty envelopes and you're gonna take it into the mailroom and you're gonna scan it. It's gonna put the time and date that it was received. It's very, 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 very important that we know exactly when it was collected in our office. You're gonna do that within the time frame that you said on the contract. Okay. We're gonna schedule the inspection and we're gonna add it to the calendar and send the client a calendar invite. We're gonna change the status of the client in command and we're gonna go to the opportunity and we're gonna submit the offer and commission tab. Do y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does it make any sense at all? Okay, this is just about y'all and not the client, so that's why I'm running through it. Client has no idea what's happening at this point.
Right.
You have a canned email When I said you send the introductory email for all of those things, there is a canned email that makes it super nice and pretty. I'll send that out to everyone. All right, now we're gonna schedule the inspection. We're back with our client. Remember, this house is falling apart. No, it's not. You hired this man to make this person, man or female, whoever the inspector is, to find every single issue in this house. They are going to look and test and everything they can see and touch. If it's between the walls, we will not know about it. But if it is something that runs, can be turned on or off, or we can see it, it will be inspected. No house is perfect. You can buy a $2 million home and you are gonna find problems. There's one on the market for $42 million. I promise you it's not perfect. Now, what we are gonna do is we're gonna negotiate. This is our second level of negotiation. Remember at the beginning, when we wrote the offer, I said this is our first opportunity. Now, during the inspection, we're gonna ask for things that are big, right? We want health hazards, safety issues, or major components. If the roof is leaking, that's a problem. If there is corrugated pipe under the cabinet, is it right? No. Does it work? Yes. So let's think about the things that are over $500 and major components, health hazards, or safety issues. We're gonna attend the inspection walkthrough. We're gonna create a list of important issues from the inspector. A lot of times I tell them, I want you to go through the inspection report. I'm gonna go through the inspection report. I'll make a list of things that I think are really important. And I want you to make your list, and then we'll compare them apples to apples, apples and oranges, apples to apples. And then we'll put it together, an amendment to address concerns to present to the seller. And when they call and they give me their items, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna say, okay, now, I know this sounds like a big issue for you, but I think that we could probably get a handyman to fix it for less than $100, so we're probably gonna skip that one. The roof is leaking, whew, gonna ask for that. The HVAC is not working, absolutely. But a lot of times you're like, but the gutters are leaking right into, I know, let's go to Home Depot and get some extensions. I'll help you put them on. It's not a big deal. Ensure that the buyer has signed the inspection service agreement and paid for the inspection prior to, and then schedule any necessary follow-up inspections. Okay, once we get the report, we're gonna create those lists and everything I just said. Then we're gonna send the listing agent to review the amendment to address concerns. We have a canned email for that. And then we're gonna load the signed ATAC amendment to address concerns, ATAC, into the opportunity and inform the lender that you are now past due diligence. You're gonna write a beautiful thank you card. Which I would say. Ready? Congratulations on making it through your due diligence period. Not only did you think it was a great house, but it actually is a great house. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a cup of coffee. You made it over the first hurdle in your home buying experience. And I am going to include a Starbucks gift card. Don't buy the one that says Starbucks. Actually get one that says, yay! Some of them have like a high five on it. Make it pretty and cute. And make it celebratory. This goes a long way. Okay, where are we? Post due diligence. We wrote the card, we confirmed the buyer information sheet is completed for the closing attorney. We transferred the home warranty to the buyer or ordered the new coverage. We followed up with the lender regarding the appraisal. We scheduled the closing with all parties. We invited them on our Google Calendar to make sure that it's there and that they have accepted it. You're gonna text a client a congratulations on your appraisal with a dancing gift. I'm not kidding, like mine one. And then conditional approval is received. We're gonna email the client with the conditional approval is received and tell them to set up their utilities. Y'all, I found this on the, like, I think, I forgot who I stole this from,
Who's the conditional approval from?
the lender.
Okay.
Once that's done, it's time to set up the utilities and I send them over. I ask the listing agent. I either send this to the listing agent or they have already sent it to me, something that says what the utilities are in the home. And I send it over to the buyer and I say, now it's time to set up your utility. Where am I? Dan, get you, verify clear to close, okay. We're gonna verify clear to close from the lender and ensure that the lender, receives the closing disclosure from the buyer. Why is that important? The closing disclosure has to be signed 3 days prior to closing. If it's not signed 3 days prior to closing, we don't close. So typically, the lender is gonna make sure that happens, but I, as a great fabulous agent, am gonna call him and say, has this been done yet? Do you need help or support? We're gonna submit a pay at close. If you wanna get paid at close, we can do that. We just need to make sure that we have the form filled out and submitted to Kim Chardy 5 days prior to closing, okay? 5 days. How many? 5. How many? 5. Okay, 5 days prior to closing. Then we're gonna submit that pay at close to the closing attorney. We're gonna buy that closing gift. We're gonna write out the closing card, but because we don't like to do hard things more than once, we already have a pre-printed congratulations message. Calendar reminder or phone alert for, oh, this is for you. Make sure you take pictures at closing and post it on the internet. Send yourself a reminder. I have to do that. Confirm that the package has been received by the closing attorney and ask for the referral. Prepare the closing gift. Oh, attend the final walkthrough. Have one of these. I found it on the internet. I branded it to myself, but here's the generic version. It makes you look really smart, like you know what you're doing. You're gonna text all the things all the things in the house that said on the disclosure that they would be included. Has all the personal property and their items been removed from the house clean? It goes through turning on all of the faucets, running the dishwasher, flushing the toilet. You're making sure the home is in the same exact condition as when you first saw it. That is in the contract. The home must be in the same condition as when they first saw it. This is a time, many times, where you're gonna find a leak. I've had dishwashers just pour water all over the floor during a final walkthrough. I have found holes in walls that were not there before. They took whatever it was off the wall and there's a gaping hole. That was not presented. That needs to be fixed. Unless they disclose it in advance, then those sorts of things have to be fixed. Okay, and then I resend directions to the closing attorney. I say, congratulations, you're closing on Friday, March, the 8th. So you're closing at March the 8th at 2 p.m. Here's the directions to the closing attorney. You need just one form of ID now. You just need to, I can't wait to see you there. You closed. You sat there. You celebrated. Your job at the closing is just to be entertainment. You have no job other than just to say, I've been here through this journey and we're coming to the end together. And then you give them the beautiful closing gift. And then you start your closing procedure. You're gonna upload the executed copy of the settlement statement into Command. You're gonna turn your checks into the office. You're gonna do one of these little bad boys. This is the 118 that FMLS requires with the closing statement. All the instructions are on the form. You're gonna verify that the listing is marked sold in Zillow and add to the profile. You're gonna add the buyer into your CRM. You're gonna change that, the address. And tag them for homestead exemption. Verify that the DA with the sales spreadsheet. Okay, this is something I do. I have a sales spreadsheet that's to track I track everything and make sure that the DA matches my sales spreadsheet. So at the end of the year, I can compare my numbers to the office numbers, check them out, so. You're gonna get a copy of the photo of the front of the house for your Google Drive. I do this because on their 1-year home anniversary, I print a picture of the front of their house and put it on a card with a bottle of wine. Referral, and the experience. And then, set up your 3, 10, 30, 90-day campaign for reminders for the client in your CRM. On the day 3, you're gonna text and check in on their moving process. You're gonna ask for referral. Because we want to build clients for life, but we have a great business, many of us built on referrals. So when they're at their happiest moments, you ask them for a referral. Typically, at some point, I'm gonna say, I know you've had a lot of conversations with other people during this process. Has anyone else mentioned that they wanted to buy or sell in the future? You know, I love referrals and working with people like you, and I want to work with more people like you. So if any of your friends and family mention the word real estate, would you mind connecting us? Okay, we got 5 minutes. So we're gonna do a touch, and day 10, that's when I send them an email and say, I'd love for all of your kind words to be on the internet. Will you please fill out the Zillow form? And they're gonna verify your identity. Don't worry, they're not gonna send it to anybody. They just need to make sure that it's not my husband again. I write that in the email. And then at the bottom of it, I ask for another referral. And then we reach out in 30 days, do you need any resources? All things fall apart when you move into a house. Do you need a plumber? Do you need a contractor of any type? And then 90 days, you're just doing a lovely check-in, I miss you. And then in the beginning of the next year, you're gonna send them a homestead exemption letter. And you're gonna finally be done with this process. Did you find this helpful?
Yeah, very helpful.
Did you? Good. Okay, this is your checklist of where to get started. You can go through it and you can say, how do I make this process better for my client to create clients for life? This is a 10+ experience. Do you agree? Yes. Okay.
Now, can you repeat, is this one on command, or we just have to print it out of the one?
This one is what I created. This is my checklist that I created for the 10+ experience. Now, I did go and upload all of this, in each section,
Yeah.
but I put it up to the manually. I absolutely am working on it. That's coming soon. That's not gonna happen. Okay.
Would love it.
Here, get ready for that.
Would love
If you have
it.
any questions, we can have a follow-up, but I hope that you found this beneficial.
Wallace, you wanna put?
I have a question for you. We knew your, I think you know, but you're fine.
You too. Oh, yes, I see. Okay. Thank you.
I should, that's amazing. Yeah.
So what's a PAC request? Does it come from?
Pay it close, pay it.